Knox, it has been how many months? I know we done the interview mid-April, so May, June, July, August,
It's
September,
been about
5
6 months.
months.
5
Yeah,
months. There we go.
5-6 months since our last interview. Should have messaged me, told me, Rockets, there's been so much going on. Let's do the follow-up. But I guess you've been busy, right? Which is expected considering how much you have going on.
Busy is an understatement. I've been busy in the Business Mastery campus. In fact, I've automated, I would say, the majority of my business affairs. So I've had time to go in there and start helping with campus development and helping the students and all that good mess.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of campus development, what has happened in that time?
Man, we've introduced an entire new wealth generation method since then. You know, it used to be just about business, and now we have a new course in there called Sales Mastery, and we teach people who have no skill and no money, sort of like copywriting, except in my opinion, a lot cooler, because we teach you to sell anything to anybody, which is the crux of making money, right? I mean, you convince somebody to give you money for whatever. So we teach you to be able to talk to people. Obviously, we teach you how to use like sales software, teach you all that other good mess. And by the time you're done with it, you can sell you could be on the ocean selling fish water. It's a good course though. Like it's relatively new, but we already have people making good wins in there. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a really interactive course too. We just released like a daily and a weekly and a monthly competition called it's like for pitching, like for coming up with sales pitches. And Arno's been giving out some fantastic prizes for that. I mean, like medieval gear, chess pieces, all sort of stuff. Like, and I think one of the prizes is a free month of the real world too, which has been a pretty hot button one.
Mm-hmm. And the medieval things are definitely an Arno thing to do.
It is, and hey, people love them.
Even if they end up not going into a sales job, it's still a useful life skill to have, right?
It is. You know, in any situation, really, where you're talking to people, absolutely. Like, we teach you to talk to people and get them to be agreeable with whatever it is you're doing. I mean, simple concepts like resonating with the people you're talking to, some techniques like, you know, mirroring and anchoring, stuff like that we're going to get into, conversational skills to help you negotiate in general. I mean, building rapport with people, which is something people don't do with people in general anymore. And it's important, not just in business, but in personal friendships, relationships. I mean, a lot of people don't build relationships anymore, which is one of the biggest parts of sales. Like, I think that's a mistake a lot of people make whenever they first get into sales, is they think they're just going to call somebody and sell something. Like, this is a process sometimes, especially in the higher dollar amounts you get. You're going to get to know these people. You're going to get to build relationships with them. And then eventually you're going to sell them. Really, ultimately, and preferably, you want it to almost be their idea to buy the item, as opposed to you trying to convince them. That's how you get really good at sales.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think in the current age people aren't building relationships or it's less common than before?
I almost feel like people's ability to build genuine connections has fallen off, and I blame it primarily on social media. Like, because I'm old enough to have seen that progression, and I remember back in the 90s, that was a thing. I mean, you built, you know, connections with people. You actually had heart-to-heart conversations. Nobody really knows how to do it anymore, which means you're going to have an advantage in everywhere in life in that case. Because doing everything in life solo is crazy. Like, you need to build connections with people, good connections. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's why things like brotherhood and friendship and family are so important, is because it's a lot easier if you have a lot of people working together than it is trying to go out there by yourself and do stuff. But in business, it's just as important. Like, you know, you want to build good connections with your clients, or in sales with your prospects. You want to build good connections with your employees. Like, you know, there's been an old, it's not even that old. There's been a saying like where you shouldn't get personal with your employees. It's crap. Dude, my employees are like my family, and I treat them like that, and they will do just about anything for me and defend me if necessary for any reason. And I defend them to death too. Like, I pay them well. You know, I get involved in their financial affairs to make sure they got everything good in their life, to make sure they're not getting themselves into debt. Building those kind of relationships and actually giving a crap about people, I think, is a very important personality trait, much less a skill. I mean, it's very important to have. You get so much more out of people in life in general when you learn how to do that. Mm-hmm. It's something people don't hold a lot of weight on, but I think it improves your life in general, not just your financial affairs.
All right. For sure. Genuine connections with other people. It just feels good in my heart to have us all. I don't know how to explain that in words.
Absolutely. I'll give you an example. Like, a lot of people get a little uncomfortable around like me and my father, my brothers and stuff, because we have actual like genuine connection with each other, as opposed to being that weird, awkward family that's like 99% of humanity these days. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm the little brother, so it's, I guess, a little awkward for me because everybody still treats me like the little brother. But
even after everything you've accomplished, still the little brother.
Maybe that's why me and Tristan got along for a little bit there. Got younger brother syndrome. Mm-hmm. But no, I enjoy it though. Like, I don't know what I would do without my family. You know, they've been there for me forever, and like, I don't think I'd make it where I was at without them. Okay. So I always encourage people to try to, instead of alienating people, to try to mend things and try to get together closely. And that's one reason I love the Business Mastery Campus, speaking of which, is because Arno goes over a lot of like genuine communication skills with people, not just business communications, but general communications, which you use in business. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of those social skills I don't think are taught by parents or schools anymore. And I feel like social skills are very important, because if you're going to do business, you're going to be talking to people. And you have to not be that weirdo in the room, number one. But two, you want to be able to actually get along with people. And that's something we teach that's, I think, unique out of most any online educational platform. You don't see social skills being taught hardly. I'm sure there's some weird course out there on Coursera or whatever the hell on social skills, but not in the context of business for sure.
And going back to your point on social media, it really seems like the real world is the next generation of social media, even, because it has everything to replace social media. Would you agree with that?
Yes, and I'll tell you a secret, and your audience secret. I don't have social media. If you want to find me, you go to the real world. It really is its own ecosystem, and it's a good one, because there's no, like, a lot of people like to say, you know, it's, oh God, it's a toxic place full of toxic masculine. Facebook is toxic. Twitter is toxic. Instagram is toxic. The real world is not. You see a bunch of people in there encouraging each other to improve their lives, to make money. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. I've seen people turn around depression, addiction, all sorts of things just hanging out in there. Because, you know, they reach out to people because they're desperate for help. You know, because they know their lives are screwed up, especially when they see everybody in there who has their lives together, and then they start breaking down and being honest. And the only thing they get is good, solid advice on how to fix it. Like, I've never seen anybody just get chewed on or picked on in there. It's all like, hey, bro, I feel you. Here's how to fix all this. Like, we don't go all this rigmarole and drama and stuff. We help people fix, like, unfuck their lives, for a better word. It's a great place. I mean, it's inspiring to see how many people have turned themselves around in there. Mm-hmm. It's not something you see anywhere else in social media.
I can personally attest to it as well, considering I speak to these people who have transformed their lives, and over 250
it's always
interviews.
For the better. Yeah, you wouldn't have time to go over all the success stories in there for turnarounds, man. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. I'm doing one every single day, and yeah, if I was to do 3 a day, it would still take me infinite amount of time, basically, because there's always more. And just
always,
endless, yeah.
Every day, I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's a beautiful thing, and we see it a lot in our campus, because our campus is like almost like the augmentation campus too. Like, aside from sales mastery being its own skill now, like almost everything else we teach in there, like business, you know, general business skills, like everything, marketing, sales, operations. I even have a strategy course in there that's pretty good. But it's almost like something that augments every other campus. Like, so if you're in copywriting, for instance, we can teach you some more outreach skills that are not taught there that will help you get more clients out the gate. Or I would say all of them except for crypto. That's kind of its own. That's like its own thing. That's a different kind of business skill. But it's still very helpful to a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people come there to help augment a lot of their own skills and get better at them. But I'll tell you one course we have in there that a lot of people don't know about, that people get excited when they see it, is a course called Financial Wizardry, taught none other than by Andrew Tate himself, and with commentary by Arno. And a lot of people see Andrew on social media and they think, wow, this guy's just a provocateur. He probably doesn't know that much about business. Come see Financial Wizardry. This man is he taught me some stuff about business, and that's saying something. Like, you could tell all of this is learned from experience too. He didn't go to business school. He's been saying stuff in Financial Wizardry that was just like some stuff that's some real eye openers as far as strategy is concerned, that you can tell came from the mind of a strategist who has experience in this crap. Like, from really doing that hard solo grinding on business where he had to fight tooth and nail for it to get that kind of knowledge. Just stuff a couple of things even I haven't seen, and I've been in the business world for a long time. Especially a couple of, I'm not going to get into details, but he surprised me on a couple of those there. But you can tell he's really, really wise when it comes to business. And that's one course that's helped a lot of people, especially small business owners in the realm, kind of help turn some, not just turn their stuff around, but to help get more clients, manage their affairs a little better, manage their employees a little better. He goes over a lot of topics in that. And you get commentary from Arno too on Tate's lessons. That is absolutely invaluable, because he's like the best professor ever. And Arno is also the type that wants to help people avoid business mistakes that he's made over the years. There's always that. So, if you have some young guy who's coming in there who's never done business before and he's listening to Arno, one of Arno's biggest objectives is to help them avoid business mistakes out the gate that he's made, that I've made, that other business guys have made, without having to learn it the hard way. So that's a good amount of the lessons in there that I think is highly undervalued, because business mistakes can be very costly.
Right. It's the 100 Business Lessons by Tate that you're referring to, right?
Yes.
Then Arno goes over. So what's the length of just that course? Just going through it? Probably like,
I forget how many are out so far out of the 100, because he likes to do the overlay commentary to try to break it down for people, because Tate's so smart that sometimes it kind of goes over their head a little bit. Yeah, and he is too. A lot of people may not look at him like that, but he is undoubtedly probably the smartest man in the room most of the time. But I get that effect a lot. Sometimes I have to repeat myself and dumb it down a little. But like Arno's very good at helping to communicate to the general populace. So I think he's got like 40 something lessons out now. Can't remember. It's a lot. Yeah, and it's a lot of content. You'll be there for a while. It's good content too. I don't mean be there for a while in a bad way. I mean, you're going to learn a lot. Yeah.
There's so many courses then within Business Mastery that are so useful. Wow.
Yes, there is. We even have one that's not business related. I mean, it is business related, but it's like a mindset course, like a life improvement course called Peak Performance. So if you just feel like you need to improve your life in general, that's a good one to go through. Because business has so many varied topics you have to go over. It's like there is a section called Arno About, where he gives these kind of interim lessons that are unrelated, but they're still business lessons. Like tips and tricks, and how to frame certain things better, a lot of how-tos, like how to deal with people, how to deal with retarded employees sometimes, how to deal with retarded clients sometimes. He has one lesson I think in there is more valuable than the rest, which is on creative problem solving. And it wasn't part of the other courses, but I feel like that's the most valuable one. The lesson is called The Most Valuable Skill in 2023, and it's not a lie. Creative problem solving is the most valuable skill you ever learn, because what do people pay you to do when they hire you?
Exactly.
Right? Solve a problem.
Yep.
And that's a skill. People pay you money to solve a problem, and we teach you to do that. We teach you problem solving.
Right.
We just teach you all the ins and outs of problem solving. That's business. You can't make money if you don't solve problems. Nobody wants to give you money if you're not solving a problem of theirs or a desire. But it's a lot more efficient to solve problems than it is to feed someone's desire, because that's something they spend money on if they have the money. If you're solving a problem, they're going to justify spending money on you.
Very good point. Yeah.
But problem solving is a skill.
What comes to mind when you say that is, maybe it's not feasible for everyone, but this is something I'm pretty sure works. So I want your feedback on it. If you fully dedicate yourself to only thinking about that problem that needs solving, and from when you wake up to when you go sleep, just throughout that day, either you're working on it or you're trying to find a way to solve it. Even in your dreams, you'll be your brain will be spinning trying to solve it, and eventually something will click and you will get the answer. But it's just because of so many distractions in the world, barely anyone is really able to dedicate themselves like that to solving a problem that way.
Well, I'll paraphrase a very wise man with a saying you've heard lately. Very few people have ever had a pure thought. And it's very true. If you focus solely on the problem you're trying to solve, I mean really meditate, like actually cut out all the other noise in your brain, and you're able to practice things like using your creativity thereafter, brainstorming. I have a couple of other complicated methods that I haven't released yet that will be out soon in the Business Mastery Campus, but having like purely just thinking about a problem in your life is something that a lot of people have a hard time doing because they try to avoid problems. They don't want to have to use their brain. Mm-hmm. Well, most people have very seldom ever actually used their brain to its fullest extent. It's almost like they default on cognitive indolence. They don't want to really have to. It's like people avoiding exercise. They don't want to have to use their brain either. And it's another muscle. I mean, it gets better when you train it, when you use it. But a lot of people don't. They avoid it. Like the plague for some reason.
It's just easier to clog your brain with junk. Just consume instead of just trying to dig through and generate.
It's the same way with their bodies. It's easier to eat all that sugar and lay on the couch and watch TikTok. But it's the same with the brain. It's easier to outsource your thinking to somebody else and ask for help for solving a problem, or
and it's getting easier and easier with things like ChatGPT. For a lot of things, you don't need to even think anymore. You just write to ChatGPT and it will give you the answer.
Yeah, and it can help you a little bit with problem solving, but with creative problem solving, on the other hand, that requires a skill called lateral thinking, and it's not or thinking outside the box, as it's called. And that is a trainable skill that a lot of people don't train because they don't want to have to get creative. Mm-hmm. And one of the methods that I'm going to be posting soon is the solo and the group brainstorming techniques. Brainstorming is one of my favorite things to do. It's so fun. And that's actually how we help people with the creative problem solving in that lesson that aren't released. And it's something you can do, like just writing down potential solutions to a problem, for instance. If the more you do it, the more your brain defaults on being able to solve problems. It's just like doing push-ups. You do more push-ups, you get better at doing push-ups. The more you have to be creative in solving a problem, the easier it becomes over time. And that's something we teach people how to do in there, is to sharpen your mind, not just your social skills and everything else, but like we want you to genuinely become a sharper person in general. So like we have a saying like that in there that we use. You need to be the wizard. Mm-hmm. People always come to the wizard for help, and they're going to throw money at you. Hey, I mean, it's like when Gandalf rescued the people from Helm's Deep in Lord of the Rings. Yeah, everybody was in trouble. Here comes the wizard to solve our problems. That's the guy you want to be in business. Mm-hmm. Like, I could tell you firsthand, that's why I get paid so much, because people have a problem and they know I'm that guy to go to solve the problem. Mm-hmm. That's why they don't mind throwing whatever amount of money at me, because I'm solving their problems.
Yep. And how long did it take you personally to develop that? And how fast do you think with that, having that knowledge, let's say you were starting from 20 years old, with the knowledge you have now, how long would it take to learn that knowledge that you have now if you had access to it through something like the real world? Did that make sense?
Realistically, I'd say you'd start seeing results in a month from your cognitive performance. 6 weeks. I always tell people, once you fix your diet and you start training your mind and you start taking the right supplements, 6 weeks you will notice an improvement in your mental acuity. Like your brain will become sharp, I promise. That's the latest I've ever seen people notice results, improving their memory, improving their ability to think creatively, all that good mess. So once you unfuck that whole part of your life and your brain starts developing, 6 weeks you will notice a difference. And you continue to notice a difference as you go along in life. Some things you may have to kind of adjust and work on a little bit, but that time frame between 6 weeks and 6 months, you will notice such a large difference in your ability to think on the fly, to solve complex problems, to your memory is going to improve drastically, because the part of your brain that's responsible for problem solving and memory are kind of intertwined. Like they work together a lot, very closely. You'll notice improvements in things like your sleep quality, because you're using your brain, you're tiring your brain. It's just like your body. You can tire your brain too. But I feel like it's one of those things that is highly undervalued by most of humanity these days. They think these mental faculties are static. Everybody's like, oh, well, I'm just dumb. That's like saying, oh, well, I'm just fat. It's like, get off the couch. People have been lied to their whole life thinking like your mind and your intelligence are a static thing. It's not. It's a very, very trainable thing, just like the rest of your body. It's going to adapt to whatever demand you impose on it. If you outsource your thinking and you don't want to think and you don't want to use your memory and this is too hard for you, you're going to stay retarded. That's the only explanation. It's like if you're fat, you stay on the couch. Well, yeah, you're going to stay fat. That's why I put so much emphasis on that inside of the Business Mastery campus. Like you're going to see me say that a lot to people, like especially whenever they ask questions trying to get people's thoughts on something. That's the first thing I asked them. I was like, well, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah.
Or have you?
I remember seeing that when I first joined the real world as well, how to actually ask questions properly instead of saying, there's this, what are your thoughts?
So, yeah, that's the other popular lesson from Arno, how to get amazing answers.
Right. And it's not by asking thoughts, ?
Thoughts? Yeah, you ever want to see Professor Adam go crazy one day, just ask him about his thoughts on XRP.
So you're saying people can learn this in 6 weeks, but how long did it take you to personally learn all this?
Oh, all the mental improvement skills? God, woo! 10 years, I would say, before I really mastered it. That's why I'm coming out with a mind mastery course soon, because I want to take that 10 years of mental improvement knowledge and condense it into several courses. Mm-hmm. Like I want people to have kind of like how Alex wants people to have the strongest bodies in his campus. I want our students to have the sharpest minds. And it's something you can do. I don't care how stupid you think you are. You can improve your mind. Mm-hmm. There is nobody that is inherent, unless you have some kind of like disorder, like real disorder, like Down syndrome or something. Like you can improve your brain.
Yep.
And that's like somebody saying, I can't get strong. My muscles won't improve. Come on.
It's so sad. That's one of the biggest lies people have been told.
I hate when people lie to themselves saying they can't do something. God, it drives me insane, and I hate seeing it. And I'm that guy that wants to help them with that every time, to try to convince them that yes, you can. Like you can do anything. Once you align pure intention with the future you want, you will get there. I don't care what it is. You can do it. Doesn't matter what you say. You want to conquer the world. Yeah, I mean, enough effort. You can do it. It's going to be hard, obviously. But don't come in there with a mindset just immediately saying you can't do something, because that's the only time you really can't, is if you believe you can't and you don't even try. That's
an excuse I hear quite often is mindset can't pay the bills. Like it's the corporation I'm working for that can give me the pay rise and change my life, not changing my mindset. They don't understand the power of it.
They do not. The power of your mind is outstanding. And, that's been, I don't want to say secret knowledge throughout history, but there have been some, I'm going to say secret but not so secret societies who have told everybody, and I mean several of them have told people this, your mind affects your reality. And the moment you believe something, it has affected you. I can tell you right now, my mindset has made me rich. I can directly attribute all of it as that being the root cause. It had nothing to do with my experience or my education or none of that. It started with my mindset. My mindset paid the bills. My mindset got me out of bed in the morning. My mindset found me a decent family. My mindset made me money because I knew how to create the reality in front of me. It first started up here. Like, if your intention is to be a loser, you're going to be a loser. And that's what most people do to themselves. They curse themselves right out the gate by saying that.
And realistically, I'm pretty sure the existence of secret societies is to pass down the knowledge of advanced knowledge on the power of the mind, and just keep
don't
it
get me wrong,
there's society.
There's a lot of them with some really weird ritualistic stuff that has earned them a bad reputation, but by and large, most of them, you're absolutely correct. It was to pass down knowledge and wisdom. Because a lot of it is powerful knowledge and wisdom. And one of the biggest ones that is a common theme among all of them is that your mind creates the reality around you and creates your future, especially as you believe it and especially as you have intention for it. Like, there is a saying among the Rosencreutzes, for instance. It's basically like there's a difference between like the lower, the way they explained it way back in the day was a little complicated, but like you have like the material plane and then the mental plane and then the divine plane, but they were saying like you need to stop saying you want something basically and saying like I will have something. There's a big difference in speaking those two phrases. It's like, that would be nice to have that kind of money instead of saying I will have that kind of money.
Well, no matter what. And then the next step, I have like actually believing that you're already there. There's even that.
Exactly. Like it's almost like gravity. Saying, like I am this person. You have no choice but to be that person. It's like being on fire. You don't want to be on fire. Can't be on fire. You're gonna put it out.
Your brain will do anything it can to basically come to that, to make that a reality. Because if
you're gonna start making decisions in your life to align yourself with who you believe you are, 10 times out of 10. If you really truly believe it, and you get rid of all that negative bullshit that the mainstream media has been feeding you your whole life, and you can see exactly who you really are. And that's the awful thing too. There are so many men in this life, like they can picture their quintessential self. They know who they are deep down, and then they look in the mirror and realize, oh, I'm really just a loser. No, you're not. You are that guy. And you have to really believe you're that guy, and you will make decisions to become that guy because you're going to be so disgusted with yourself. You're going to fix yourself like clockwork. It's subconscious at that point. Every decision you make is going to be toward making yourself who you are. But if you really believe that you're that guy that's fat, lazy, and you have to put up with all this crap and you want to be broke, you're going to stay there. But that's not aligned with who your mind knows that you are. I don't believe that any man is innately a loser. I think that they just became that way just due to brainwashing, environmental factors, everything around them. No man's innately loser. And that's one reason I love seeing this kind of stuff in the real world, is because it's showing men how to become that. Like, especially with the environment and the group of people in there, nobody is in there trying to encourage each other to be a loser. We're trying to improve each other every day, constantly. Nothing but lifting each other up and trying to help everybody align with that version of themselves they want to be. I've seen people in there quit, drugs. I've seen them quit pornography addictions, which is horrible. Things that are just dragging you down in life that the I'm sure society would love to see drag you down in the first place because they're all losers themselves. Mm-hmm. But not us, you know, we want to build you up. We really want to see you succeed. Mm-hmm. And and that's the beautiful thing about it. When you have a bunch of people aligning themselves with that, their true selves like that, you start seeing a great synergy there, and it becomes easier and easier for the people that get in that ecosystem.
Yep.
And
something that's backwards as well is thinking once you reach a certain level in your life, let's say I'll get more money, move to a different place, then I'll be able to look at myself differently. But how it actually is if you actually do reach that place, you'll still have a negative mindset of yourself. You'll still have the same mindset as before. You'll think you need something else in order to fulfill yourself. So it's completely backwards.
Some of the most miserable people I've ever seen in my life are what I call rich losers, and they were usually born into money. Mm-hmm. It's not people who earned it the hard way, usually. Don't get me wrong, money can solve a lot of problems and make you pretty happy. But if you haven't aligned with that true version of yourself, honestly, like you can be a rich loser, and they are miserable because everybody looks down on them. I mean, hard. Like, yeah, they can go out and stun on other people or whatever, but they know deep down they're not who they should be, and they're usually these whiny little bratty man children, you know. You've seen the type. Yeah, you can go out there and make a lot of money, but if you don't fix your mindset, you're gonna still be a great big rich loser, and you're still gonna be just as miserable. You know, your family's still gonna look down on you. You're not gonna be respected by people. It's something you have to fix out the gate. Yeah. And I think that's one thing that's admirable about what the Tates do on all the social media and stuff, is because a lot of the interviews they've gone through and the stuff they said has helped fix that in a lot of people these days that have been so brainwashed by society that they were like, you know, I guess I am, you know, like an accursed person for being a male or whatever. You know, and it makes them, God, there's so many. It really gets to me when I see how depressed men are these days. Like, because I was raised by very masculine men who held these traditional values. I never had this problem. Seeing it from the outside, though, on the other hand, it's heart-wrenching how low men have gotten these days just due to the media telling them how awful they are when they're not. It's like they feel like they're
so many things from all different angles. Food, does it just everything around them is. Wait, is it emasculating or is that the other word? Is emasculating the bad way or the positive?
Yeah, emasculating would be the bad way.
Yeah, so emasculating, man. And so many different angles.
It's like they've done their absolute best to make sure that people are miserable. And the only reason I could see that is because it's easier to control people when they're down like that. And now, if you have some people that are truly actually masculine, they're not going to put up with that crap. I don't care what you do. Mm-hmm. It's like Andrew said in that one interview, you know, your revolutionaries are your young fighting age men. And if you emasculate them, they're not going to do anything. They're going to sit around and complain and draw a paycheck from the government for not working. Yeah. Let their folks yell at them, sit there and not do anything about it. And you don't see that kind of crap in the environment we're in the real world, though. Like, you'll see a lot of guys come in there with that mindset, and they'll be like, "Hey, help! I don't know what to do," and we'll help talk them through the situation. Because, it's a hard place to be, and it's beautiful seeing that progression over time. You know, of people really fixing their lives and turning themselves around, and you know, becoming the man they want to be. Like I've seen some 18-year-olds in there become more masculine than most full-grown men these days. I mean, come on. And really turn their financial situation around, you know, turn their fitness around, turn their mindset around. You know, everything in their lives just starts becoming better and aligning more to who they want to be and how it should be in their life, as opposed to their awful place. And speaking of which, I got a few more people you need to interview. I will.
Good. Send them over. I'd happily do.
Because we have the best students in business mastery, by the way. I'm serious too. If you go through our wins channel, let me tell you, it's amazing. got some great wins in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no more tried and true way to honestly earn money than sales and business.
Fair enough. So how has everything evolved for you in those 5-6 months since our last interview? I'm sure there's been some personal development.
Well, a lot more money.
As expected.
I've gotten a little stronger, I would say. I've been, working on I'm a calisthenics guy. I don't lift weights. Mm-hmm. But I always like to go back with the whole caveman workout,
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
But, oh man, life's beautiful. I mean, everything's improved. I can't complain about everything. I've improved in just about every aspect of life. I guess it would be because of competition with most of my brothers, and not just my family, my friend brothers too, like some of the other captains in the real world and even some of the professors. Mm-hmm. But it's like a good competition. We try to keep each other up. I don't know. Life's just been beautiful. I always tell people, you're either growing or you're withering. There's no in between. And I try to stay on the growth curve, just like a business. Business goes up and down, but you want to make sure the trajectory is up. Mm-hmm. Life's going to throw shit at you.
Yeah.
But you just got to make sure to maintain that upward trajectory. Otherwise, you're going down, and you don't want to lose progress. Life's too short to lose progress.
But yeah, sometimes unavoidable. But if you look back on it, usually after having a high, the low you go, as in the low you have, isn't as low as your previous low. So then let's say there's a low that you get through, then you go high again, then you have another low, but it's always an upward trajectory. So
those short interim lows. Those short interim lows are the challenges you need to grow. That's what I try to explain. It's like a stock chart.
Yeah.
When it's growing, you see it go up and then down a little, up, down a little, up. Like when it's skyrocketing, that little bit of resistance that you meet are the trials and challenges in your life. You need those to grow. If you don't get challenged in your life, you're going to stay where you're at forever. It's like forging steel for a weapon. What do you do first? You melt the metal in a crucible to burn out all the impurities. If you don't go through tribulations, you're going to be a weak man growing up. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be right. So that's why I always tell people, thank God for tribulations. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the fire that's going to refine you into good weapon grade steel. And then you can get to the part of actually forging it and sharpening it and turning it into battle ready. That way you can meet your next iteration of forging a new weapon, because you just get to repeat this process until you become the paragon of humanity, which is impossible, but you want to get there anyway. If that makes any sense. There is no such thing as perfection, but that's a good thing, because then you wouldn't have another mountain to climb. And I think that's the real beauty in life, is actually the journey of growing. Like, getting there is fun. Meeting your goals is fun, but the real beauty is in the struggle, and in the suffering, and in the fighting, and in the struggling to get where you're going. Because once you get there, it's like you've lost something inside of you. I think that's what a lot of people are missing, is that they haven't experienced the gorgeousness of fighting a good challenge, because they try to avoid it. That's why it's so. I think it's why a lot of people are really miserable, because they're not moving anywhere. They're not challenged by anything. And when they do, they crumble. And you have to learn to get up and fight, because it's really what improves your life. A lot of people just want to be safe and lazy and bored. I think that's the thing that kills people more than anything, is boredom. It sounds kind of silly.
Want to add a quote from Seneca I just got up. It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Life is long enough, and it's been given to us in generous measure for accomplishing the greatest things. If the whole of it is well invested. Well, when life is squandered through soft and careless living, and when it's spent on not worthwhile pursuit, death finally presses, and we realize that the life which we didn't notice passing has passed away.
That is absolutely true. And we never really get to choose how and when our life ends, but we do get to choose what we do with the years we have. And I can honestly say the only people I've ever met with regrets in their life are the ones who chose to not accomplish anything or even attempt to. Like, they just complained and they were lazy. They just grinded through their life like a zombie, as opposed to actually trying to find meaning and accomplishment. Like, I think that's one part of being a man that really makes a man a great man. Doesn't matter how, I mean, not even necessarily a rich man, just a great man. In all walks of life is the fact that they at least attempted to accomplish something and then actually accomplished it. But then that's why I tell people you always need to try to find a new mountain to climb, because once you accomplish, bigger and bigger things, if you can go back to being that zombie and losing that fire once you accomplish something, because you get that bit of dopamine and you're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. But then it becomes more difficult to find more mountains to climb. That's why I tell people, don't ever let your life's goals be small. Your interim goals, yeah, sure, you make them manageable, but like your overall, your long-term goals in life, dude, shoot for the moon. Because you want the largest heart. You want to be climbing the Himalayas throughout your life, but you want to climb the bigger summits at first. But don't ever put yourself in a situation where you have nowhere else to climb, because then you're just going to start withering. And I've seen some men go from. I've seen it before. It's really, it's heartbreaking too, because I've seen some great men who are like, they'll get to like 50 maybe. They'll accomplish something great. And or like hit a huge financial goal or something, and then they don't pursue it further. And I see them just start getting physically ill, almost like they start weakening. Their mind starts going, like, compared to what it used to be. They just start changing, and it happens way faster than people give it credit for. Like it's like people who suddenly stop exercising. I mean, you can see them wither away pretty quick. Mm-hmm. So that's one piece of advice I can give just about everybody. Dude, always make sure that your long-term life goals are something crazy. And I don't mean like unattainable. I mean like something big.
Have like, something even if that always gives you a direction. Because as soon as you lose that direction, you wither away. Start withering.
And on a strategy pyramid, we call that the vision. Mm-hmm. So like when I fill out a strategy pyramid with people, one of the first things I ask them is, what is your vision for this company? And make it as ridiculous as you want to. And then we'll set goals that will help you get there eventually. We'll set time horizons for those goals. Like we'll have a 1-year goal, 5-year goal, 10-year goal, 20-year goal. Where do you want to take? Where do you want to go? It's like, where do you want to take the ship, Captain? Mm-hmm. But once you get there, I don't know. Well, that's why I always try to tell people my long-term goal is set for when I'm like 90 or something.
But that's how great thinkers think. Like, as Jeff Bezos says, he had generational goals for his company. He was thinking 30, 50 years down the line instead of short term.
I was just about to get to that. I have my really long-term visions are for my great-great-grandchildren. Honestly, I want to build something that nobody can destroy, not some errant son or grandchild, not some government. I want to make sure that my legacy and my empire are around for a long time. And even if it's not like a famous one, I've always held the belief that it's better to not really be famous, but to still be accomplished and powerful. I think it's one of the better places to be in life, especially in the days of social media and mainstream news. Mm-hmm. And that's how I want to try to set that up. But I want to also, like, my other long-term vision is to make sure that they are good people, because it's so easy to be corrupted by this day and age. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to make sure they are really good people who are helping people, who are bettering humanity, bettering themselves, and staying true to reality, as opposed to being warped by the crazy narratives that are just they're growing like cancer these days. I want to make sure that they are bulletproof from that. Like I'm honestly more concerned with that than I am about their financial situation. But I want to make sure that they have financial stability too. But that's one goal I think a lot of people skip when it comes to their generational goals. make sure your family have good traditional values that make them good people, that make sure they want to better the world around them, better their families, better those close to them, that have genuine values as opposed to the shallow, evil crap you see these days. And there's so much of it. Like, it's hard to find genuine people anymore.
Mm-hmm. I'd also be willing to bet that the families that are, let's say, the elites of the world, I'm pretty sure they're not allowing their children to spend time on social media and talk negatively about themselves. There's a completely different framework they employ.
I completely agree with that.
Children have to follow.
That's why I tell people I don't have social media. I don't need it. I mean, why would I expose myself to that crap? It's not relevant. Mm-hmm. I get news from people like telling me crap. I don't need all that. I definitely don't need to. God, it's so, there's really nothing beneficial most of the time from having social media. Mm-hmm. Like, I just don't see it. Like, you get more benefit from actual hard study and building genuine connections with people than you do getting on social media and posting about some silly shit you had for breakfast. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Or starting all this drama with people over something that doesn't even matter. Right. There are better ways to live your life than to do it online. And that's one, and you're right, it is corrupting children these days. Like, they're growing up with all this rapid fire crap in their face, building these loose connections, starting on this drama, seeing all this toxicity, and never seeing anything to contrast it. Mm-hmm. Like, they're being raised by social media instead of parents. And I think it's something that's just making humanity worse.
Another scary thing is once information enters your brain, it can't leave. There's no way to take it out. So everything you absorb throughout your life, it will still stay there in your brain. So
it is infinitely harder to unprogram what your brain absorbs. It is so hard. It's like training an AI. Once you have some screw ups in the training, Jesus. Mm-hmm. You got to go back through checkpoints and you have to do all this crap. Nah, it's not fun.
Yeah, be attentive of what you put into your mind is where my point is going.
It is, and that's why another mind skill that I'm going to be teaching people in business mastery that I think is important is critical thinking. Mm-hmm. And it's not taught anymore. That used to be taught in schools. It's not anymore. Mm-hmm. Not hardly. And nobody has critical thinking skills anymore. That's why so many people keep getting scammed these days. Mm-hmm. I always tell people if they would have trained critical thinking throughout their life like most people should, you would not get scammed by anybody. Mm-hmm. Sorry, you would have more logic than that. Because Aristotle is still a genius, thousands of years later. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, imagine if everyone in the world could critically think, how different everything would be. It's definitely a huge part of it.
Yeah, we wouldn't have any of these totalitarian regimes in the mass media. Not governments, mass media. Mm-hmm. People wouldn't even watch them because they're like, well, that's horse shit.
Yep. Okay, so, and speaking of social media, it did bring one benefit though. You spoke to Tristan recently. That was uploaded. So how was that experience, speaking to Tristan?
That was fun. Tristan's a good man. Mm-hmm. I hate seeing crap they've been going through lately, but I think it's made them better people. But mm-hmm. I hate seeing things like that happen to good men, like genuinely good men, because there's not hardly any anymore. Mm-hmm. And it's probably one of the, especially off record, it's probably one of the most genuine people I've ever talked to. Like he seemed like a very genuinely kind and good person, which I don't get that vibe from many people. Yeah, I don't know. I hate seeing it for them. I know all this mess will clear up soon though, and that it'll really just spread their message even further. And I can't wait for that day and age.
But again, looking at it from a positive lens, even though it is really shit what they're going through.
Well,
you could tell.
It's like I said earlier. Tribulations make you a better person.
Yeah. I'll just finish off. When Andrew came out of jail, that first video they posted of him pacing up and down in the room, you could see he had turned into his dad. Like just from how he walked, how his eyes looked, it's just he had basically turned from a boy in a way to that man, and now full on leader of the family and tribe. And I mean the tribe being all these people and the real world and everyone else who follows him. So yeah. And what were you going to say?
I recognized that look in his eyes too. I always tell people when you see a real strategist, there is a certain look that you will see in their eyes that you don't see anywhere else. And it's like it's like they're looking at something, but it's nothing you can see. They are seeing, they are running almost a game of chess through their head, but it's the game of life. Like there are sometimes when they, especially at critical points in their life, where you can see something that's a really rare expression on somebody's face.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in that moment when I saw him like pacing around like that, that's when I knew. I was like, this man is probably one of the most prolific strategists on the planet.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't be able to tell listening to him talk unless you listen to him a lot. But at that point, I was like, man, this man right here has some. I could just, I don't really have good words for it. I can just tell, like I can feel it in my gut. I'm like, I've had that look on my face a few times through some pretty crazy shit in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, but it's like I said earlier, sometimes your greatest changes come through fire, and it makes you better than you would have been otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it has improved both of them, because like you can tell just through the way they talk, some of the things they say, that they've leveled up as men, even though they were already great.
Right.
And I like seeing that, but I hate seeing them go through it, because like I said, you can tell they are generally good people.
Mm-hmm.
And there are genuinely bad people who have not had that happen to them, that need it to happen to them. That's the crazy part. It's like the world has fallen off when it comes to justice. Justice used to be something that real men stood up and accomplished because it was the right thing to do. Now it's like completely backwards. Mm-hmm. It's like the right thing to do is taboo anymore, and the wrong thing to do is like the norm, and nobody's going to stand up and say anything.
Sure.
And that's why I love seeing them out there fighting this fight, because there are not enough people these days standing up to the bullshit and the injustice in the world. And and obviously they knew that this kind of crap was coming at them. You saw Andrew say it a long time ago. They're going to put me in jail. They did, but thankfully he's come out on the good side of that arrangement. But I don't know. I'm hoping he's encouraging more people to stand up to all the crap that is being thrown at them that are absolute lies and injustice. Because the more people that start standing up and calling out the bullshit, the better the world is going to get. And it's one of those changes that's going to be a long struggle. But we're men. That's what we do. We struggle.
We've seen the compliance ladder before, where if you comply, then they'll push it further. If you comply again, even further. If you don't comply, then there's no way they can push further. So, as you say.
Absolutely. And that's one reason I tell people that America is great. Most people cannot give you a good answer on that, but I always tell people it was the size of our balls. It had nothing to do with anything else, bro. We are, when you hear the word red-blooded Americans, that generally means we stand up and do the right thing, and we had the balls to do it. We do not take crap from people. We stood for our values, even if it meant death. We did not hesitate to stand up to defend people who were going through injustice. We saw how we were being oppressed by somebody, and over some taxes and a few other silly shit, we stood up and told them to get the hell out of our land. I mean, these days it's not happening anymore because men are having their balls cut off. Mm-hmm. But that's what really made us great. We didn't mind standing up and fighting for what we believed in. And I mean vehemently, all of our populace. And it's just slowly died over the years, but it's still one thing that makes a really good American a great American. That's one message I try to spread to more of my American brothers. It's really easy to get them riled up on that path too. And I don't mean like being some crazy extremist. I mean just actually, standing up and being vocal about what you believe in as opposed to cowering in the corner.
Right.
Because that's what makes our democracy so great, is you can say and get away with saying things here. To try to stand up for what you believe in and what you believe is wrong, without being arrested for it. And I still unfortunately believe that people are being arrested for it, but I still see a lot of people here standing up for what they believe in, regardless. Like, they're not afraid of it. And I think the Tate brothers have been helping to encourage people to do that more, to bring that all over the world, not just here, to stand up for what they believe in and be more vocal and not be so compliant, and to just not be a coward. Because I don't think there's a worse fate for a man in this world than to be a coward. Right. That is the most pitiful existence on this planet, is a coward that saw these things happening and he refused to stand up. God, in any situation, God, like, imagine seeing some women getting beaten on in the street or something, and you're too much of a little bitch to go over there and help them. I mean, you're a man. You need to man up and do these sorts of things. Being a coward should not be an option in your life.
And from the opposite lens, this is actually something I remember thinking about while walking yesterday. Probably the best trait to have as a man is courage. Because with true courage, you can basically get anything you want in life and just be a good individual as well.
Absolutely. And that's why I tell people the real good men in the world are the courageous ones, because they stand up despite, and it's not like they're not afraid. Courage is not a lack of fear. It is standing up and doing something regardless of, because like that example I just gave you, the person mugging that woman over there may very well have a gun on him and I'm unarmed. I'm going to go over there and try to intervene anyway, because it's my duty. And that takes extraordinary courage, because, you might die today. That's hard to do. But yeah, you don't want to be that guy. It's terrible to be a coward, because that's how the world ultimately falls to pieces. That's a slippery slope. If the world's full of cowards, then tyrants are going to come along. They are going to take over, and they are going to oppress you. And they're going to oppress your family and your children and your grandchildren, and it's never going to stop. You have to be able to stand up to injustice as a man. Otherwise, the world is just going to be an awful place. And it all starts with the individual. Because that's what we are, right? We're a collective of individuals. That's humanity. We're not ants. We're not a hive. And a lot of people are like, well, me acting that way isn't going to make a difference. Well, a lot of people think that way these days, unfortunately, and that's the problem. So yes, it all starts with you.
And it's so hard to comprehend, you changing as an individual for the better, how much impact it will have on the world. Because it will change, one, the people around you, which two, will impact your community. And then through that community, how many people do they know that will then also get affected? And eventually it just branches out to basically the whole world that you can affect for being
absolutely
positive.
And that's why I think it's beautiful when people embark on this journey, like for instance in the real world and just on the self-improvement journey, because they improve themselves. And they improve their families, they improve their connections in life, they improve their community, and the causal chain is astounding. It's like the butterfly effect. You ever saw that?
Yeah.
You make waves everywhere you go, even if you don't see them. You may have said something to somebody out in public, and because you were being an amazing person at the time, as opposed to a weak individual, you said something that encouraged them, maybe, I don't know, and you just set off an entire other chain of events that bettered thousands of other people. Strength and kindness and being genuine, all these things help improve the world around you like you don't even know. Every time you interact with people, every time you're out in society, even every time you're on social media, if that's your proclivity, you have no idea what sort of chain of events you have set off for being a weak or a horrible person that has only just made the world a terrible place. You don't want to have a negative effect on the world around you at all. You want to have a positive effect on the world. You're going to have an effect regardless, no matter what you do. So the more you improve yourself, the better person you're going to be. you're going to be able to affect everything around you more positively, because you being more positive about your life and you improving your life is going to have the same ripple effect on everybody else's lives around you and everybody you meet. You're going to project that positivity around you, and those waves are going to cascade like you wouldn't believe. So you don't want to go out there being a weak, horrible person. You want to be a good person. You want to be a strong person. You want to be encouraging other people. You want to be good to people. You want to show kindness to people. And it's going to do nothing but improve the world around you. But you can't do that if you're weak and miserable and broken, saying these negative things all the time. It's just not good. And that's so many people these days. Mm-hmm. And men and women alike too, not just men. I see it. I see it way more than I should. And it takes so very little to help turn them around. That's why I try to dedicate my life to helping others, in all seriousness, because, I mean, it helps me in the long run, obviously. You can't live a good life just helping yourself. Oh, you have to help yourself. You can't help others without helping yourself first. Yeah. You have to improve yourself.
From an empty cup.
But there's some duality there. You need to focus on yourself, improve your life, improve your finances, get strong. And then you'll help improve. But the intention behind that should be, I'm going to do all this for myself to help others, because I can't protect people if I'm weak. I can't help out my family if I'm broke. You know, I can't solve the problems of those around me if I'm mentally weak. So I need to become an amazing person to make sure that my family and my community and everybody, and especially my sons, my daughters, wives, everybody in my life lives an amazing life, because I went through all this hard work to help improve their lives, and I did it for their sake. And you really have to genuinely have that intention in your head. You'll notice it becomes a lot easier. Because if everybody does everything egocentrically for themselves, it becomes a lot harder. Because, I mean, really, when it boils down to it, if you're being selfish, you're going to end up being a lazy person anyway. But if other people are relying on you to be awesome and to be strong and to win, oh, that's infinite motivation right there. Mm-hmm. So I tell people, build these families, build friends, be stronger for people. There's nothing more amazing in life than being that person that everybody goes to help, you know, solve their problems and rely on, because then you end up being the metaphorical Hercules. And that's a good way to live life. And anybody struggling with depression and stuff, I'll tell you, that's one way to cure right there, is to find that kind of purpose.
Right.
You're never going to live a happier life.
Referring all of this back, it's all what the real world teaches you. It gives you a direction, teaches you mindset, teaches you skills to make money. Fitness campus improves your physicality. Just everything you need to better yourself and become the man you want to be.
Yes, absolutely. We have everything. We got fitness, mindset, money,
community,
if you're at that
brotherhood.
And community and brotherhood. Look, if you're at that point in your life and you know your life is just miserable, and even if you don't want to admit it, you know your life's miserable. Dude, anybody who thinks that is a scam, you are missing something tremendous in your life that could honestly turn you around. And and for the record, I have no financial gain in saying this. You are really missing out. You have an opportunity to turn your life around completely. From a social perspective, financial, fitness, everything in there is for you. It was designed for you, it was curated for you to help make your life better. And I really feel disappointed when people say that it's like, feel like it's a scam or something. I think it's just because they see so many scams out there, you know, and so I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, like, you know, that's another person who's going to be, probably struggling to turn their life around. It is heart-wrenching. And so I really hope you join. Like it, or at least just give it a shot, because God knows we waste $50 on dumb crap all the time. Just give it a month. Come in there, open your mind, really get to know the place. You know, kind of take it in, get to know the people there, study some of the lessons. You know, really at that point, just kind of dictate whether I've never seen many people come in there and say it's a scam. Honestly, I've seen people go in there and get confused and overwhelmed, maybe, because there's a lot in there, but it's in a good way. You know, I mean, we've tried to cover everything, and man, brothers, I hope to see you in there, honestly, because we're going to help turn you around. I know life's fucking hard, and we really try to help turn that around for people. And it, like, you'll only find me in the Business Mastery campus, but I've seen a lot of people in our campus in particular. We've tried to help them from personal and financial aspects, and seeing them go from miserable to just rambling about how awesome everything is all the time, and watch them reaching their goals and stuff. Is just, I live for that kind of shit.
Right. Yeah,
it's a truly amazing ecosystem in there, and honestly, I more often than not see people like, man, that was the best $50 I ever spent. It's beautiful seeing that kind of stuff. And
I'd say that's,
and for the record,
yep.
For the record, by the way, I could have been quit. Good Lord, this place has made me rich. I stick around to see stuff like that because I genuinely believe in the mission of the real world. It's a genuine place. They really are trying to help people. I mean, that's why I hate seeing all the bad, any kind of bad press out there like that. These people have no fucking clue. It's so for anyone listening, I really hope to see you in there. In fact, tag me if you see me in there.
So your interview made me join. How awesome would that be, seeing that in the chat? Right.
Oh yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's just that's the last thing I can say to anybody. Just give it a shot, please, and holler at me when you're in there.
Awesome.
I talk, I promise.
Yeah, super insightful conversation. Thank you for sharing all your knowledge there, Knox. And I look forward to another follow-up again in future, just to see how you're doing, how you're developing, how everything's progressing for you. It's nice having these snapshots in time that you can look back on in future as well, see on your own development.
Yes, it is. I'm hoping my great grandchildren see this interview and they're like, man, what a G.
He had this all planned out. Everything that's happened up until now, he was planning it 100 years ago. Wow.
Yep. That's always one of my greatest sayings. Plan everything and take action. That's how you accomplish everything. Plan, take action. You gotta have both.
And yeah, great place to end. So all the best to you, and until next time.
Take it easy, Rokas.